Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, I just want to thank you for taking our time out your busy schedule and pursuing this interview. We love you and all that great stuff. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. This is epic.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, you're welcome.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. So I'm just gonna shoot out some questions. You guys can answer, back and forth how you want to. And yeah, bounce off. Yeah. So we definitely open to that. And you guys' chemistry is so amazing and continues to work well after 4 decades in the music industry. What keeps you guys motivated and inspired?
Oh, I think the inspiration always comes from the artists that we get a chance to work with. They are the ones that really inspire all the song ideas that we put together. We always tailor make the songs specifically for the artist. We very rarely just randomly just write a song. It's always with somebody in mind. So that's part of it for the inspiration. I think the other part for me that's inspiring is I get to work with my best friend for, almost my whole life, literally. I mean, we've known each other. It'll be 50 years in a couple of years we've known each other. So that definitely motivates me to be able to make music with my best friend every day. So.
Yeah, and not to mention the music itself, like that's always a great motivation. So we love music, so what better to do than to make music?
Absolutely. Congratulations to your 50-year friendship. That's beautiful.
Yeah, that is. So you all have 5 Grammys, over 100 platinum records, more #1 Billboard, as far as with a team in music history. So what is that gratification for you?
Well, the statistics are nice. Back when our sons were playing basketball together, we used to keep statistics, and we'd always kind of say that the stats don't lie, but they don't really tell the whole story. So statistically, those are all very nice things. To me, it's more about, I think, a legacy of that we did it as a team. That's an important thing when you talk about statistics. When Billboard says we're the #1 team of all time, to me, the significance is the fact that we've done it together and that we remain doing it together. The other thing that, an important statistic that when I think about statistics, somebody to me mentioned the other day that we've been nominated in the Producer of the Year category at the Grammys 11 times, which is the most ever. And that's significant too, because when we set out on our journey to be producers and songwriters, one of the things we said was our goal was to be warm for a long time, not to be hot, in the moment, but to be warm for a long time. So I think consistency sometimes is really important, and we've tried to be consistent over the years. And I think the statistic of 11 nominations in Producer of the Year category kind of speaks to that. So I think they go together, but we're not totally statistic based because that just doesn't tell the whole story.
Okay. Definitely.
Yeah, and you can start thinking about it, because I'm totally not a statistic person. I'm a forward slash. I live in the moment and forward. And when I start to think about what the stats are really cool going back in reflection, because everyone likes to claim genius and yeah, we were genius, but I think we're more purpose-filled in trying to create music that we love, and we hope everybody else loves it, but also filling the voids that we feel like people just aren't getting music for. And so we always try to make music or create a scenario or musically a scenario that people need rather than what they want. So it's like, you don't know you need it until you get it. You say, oh man, that feels so good. When, we were doing the Sounds of Blackness, everybody was like telling us, you're crazy for like signing a choir of 40 people. And you're crazy for wanting to do spiritual based music. And like, why? That's just part of our purpose here. Like, that's what purpose-filled music is all about. You just don't make the music you think is going to be a hit, because that's a thought anyway, because everybody makes hits, not just us. We just create music, and then other people love it and other people play it, and other people receive it, other people buy it. So everybody makes that song successful. It's not just us. So we just make music. We're music makers. That's what we do.
Nice, nice. And thank you for mentioning about Sounds of Blackness. Gary Hands, he has been so great to me as a friend, a mentor, all that good stuff. So, so yeah, that's been great.
Yeah, it's been wonderful.
Yeah.
So, what project actually did it for you all? Like, took your career to the next level? Like, as far as like when you guys realized, like, okay, I have arrived.
I hope I never arrive, hopefully. You know, this is fun. I don't want to get to the destination. It's because that means when you get somewhere at a destination, that means it's the end of the road. I don't want that to happen. I hope it always stays open. But, you know, in terms of being deemed, quote unquote, a success, I mean, you'd have to say our interface in with Janet, our creations with Janet were the things that kind of started everybody's ooh and ah of our career, I think. You know, you have to give her a lot of that credit as well, just because, you know, she was a great artist for us to interface in with because she had great ideas as well. So it just makes it all work that much easier.
Nice, nice. And let's talk about your new album, Jam&Lewis Volume 1. It features some incredible artists such as Babyface, Usher, Morris Day, Tony Braxton, and goes on and on. What was the inspiration behind this great project?
Well, after we were fired, or as like Terry likes to say, freed from the time, back in the day, we had set forth to make our own album, a Jam&Lewis album. And around the time we started working on that, we later on that year started working on Control with Janet. And so we stopped working on our album to do Control. When Control was done, or at least we thought it was done, the A&R person was named John McClain, or I should say is named John McClain because he's still around. He was named John McClain. He said, I want to come up and listen to what you guys got, because we were recording in Minneapolis. So he comes to Minneapolis, we play him Control, Nasty, When I Think of You, Pleasure Principle, Funny How Time Flies. We're like thinking, oh, we got this. And he says, I just need one more. So what are you talking about? He said, I just need one more song. And I said, no, we got enough. So we hop in the car. We're going to go grab a bite to eat. Terry puts a cassette in. And on the cassette is songs from our album, or at least tracks from our album. About the third one in, John goes, no, that's the one I need right there. And we said, what are you talking about? He said, play that for Janet. And if she likes it, let her have it. We're like, what are you talking about, John? Anyway, so the next day we go to the studio. We just put the song on. We didn't even say anything to her. And we kind of watched her, and she was kind of grooving. She walked to the door. She pointed at us, pointed at the speakers, and she was like, who's that for? And we said, well, you, if you want it. And she said, oh, I want it. That song became What Have You Done For Me Lately? So that song ended up becoming the song that launched her career and then ended ours, at least at that point, or ended our album. So really we set forth then over the years, we would work with certain artists and we'd say, hey, we'd like to do something for our album. And they'd go, okay, great. And then when we were done, they'd go, oh, I got to keep this for myself. So finally about 3-4 years ago, we were fortunate to go into the Songwriters Hall of Fame. And when we were on the red carpet, somebody asked us, you know, what haven't you guys done yet that you still want to do? And going in the Songwriters Hall of Fame the same year we did was Babyface. And we looked over at Babyface and we said, I'd like to do something with Babyface. And then we said, and we should get around to finishing our album that we never got around to. And the third piece was that we said we'd like to tour with our songs and play our songs live, which we never had a chance to do. So now at this point, 2 of the 3 we've gotten done. We got obviously the record with Babyface done. We got our album done. And hopefully, if things get safe again, we'd like to go and play in front of an audience and play our own songs, play Jam&Lewis, you know, live. So that's kind of the path or the journey, I guess, that we're on.
Nice, nice. And I was watching you guys. I was reading you guys' catalog. I think I was on there for at least about 30 minutes or more. and the artists that you guys work with, Aretha Franklin, Mariah Carey, Sting, Janet Jackson, as you mentioned, Kanye West, I could go on and on and on and on. Who was some of the artists that left a memorable impression on you guys? Like, who that changed your, I don't want to say change your life, but you guys can always go back and like talk to each other and say, oh wow, so and so that still blow me away today. Who's one of them artists or some of them artists?
Well, we're fans of all the people that you mentioned, plus all the ones on that list are our friends. And I can't say that there's not a single one that didn't enhance our life to some degree. But once again, you know, you as a friendship, as a longtime partnership with Janet has been a great ride. But if you want to talk about experiences, there's been like 2 or 3 experiences that kind of stand out over the years. There's one with Patty Austin, where she came to the studio and we thought we were all that, thought we knew how to get things done. And she came in and taught us what professionalism really was, because she flew in from Los Angeles and she came directly to the studio and she wanted to sing, and we wanted to, you know, kind of push her off to the next day because she wanted her to rest. She said, well, let me just try it. So she took the lyrics in, looked at the lyrics, sang the song through from top to bottom. We gave her the melody. She sang it through top to bottom with no mistakes, perfect pitch, perfect pronunciation, and all the feeling that you could ever fit into a song in one take. And we were like floored with our mouths hanging on the console. And then she said, okay, can I try it again? Oh yeah, okay. And then she tried it again and it was perfect, just as perfect as the first one, but different. So we had that song done. So we had prepared 2 songs up to that point. So she said, what's the next song? And we let her hear that song. And she did the same thing again. She performed the song that we had written, top to bottom, no mistakes, and just never even really hearing the song through other than once when we were trying to teach her. And then we didn't have the 3rd song ready because she could have did that too. This is after getting off a plane. So it just taught us that level of being preparedness, that preparedness was paramount when you're working with artists, just being prepared. And so she gave us a great lesson in that. But she comes from the school of Quincy Jones. And I would imagine that being prepared is always paramount there. So, and I'll let Jam give his example, because I know he's got one, because there's one that stands out among all others.
Well, the Patty Austin example is a great example as far as impacting us in the way we approach the work and being prepared, as Terry said, which is always so important. But I think the one that probably just blew us away totally was Michael Jackson. When we were doing Scream, the duet with Janet and him together, we actually flew to New York to work. And we normally worked in Minneapolis at that time, but we flew to New York because that's where Michael wanted to work. And we decided we put together like 4 or 5 songs or just tracks, and he could choose whichever one he wanted. And we had Janet come to Minneapolis so she could kind of just inspire us as we were working. And I remember her saying, when we did the track that ended up becoming Scream, I remember she said, he's going to like that one. And I said, how do you know? She said, because I know my brother. I was like, okay, cool. So we go to New York with our tracks. He puts them on. We're already in a recording studio. He literally brought his own speakers, bigger than the ones in the recording studio. He turns the thing up to, forget turning it up to 10, he turned it up to like 15, I guess. And he plays all these songs, right? And he finally says, I think I like this one, song number 2 or song number 3, whatever it was. And we said, okay, cool. And that was the one that, Janet looked at us like, see, I told you that's the one he was going to like. So we got, we started writing the song. We started doing our thing. We go into the studio to actually now do the vocal. And in the studio, when you go in the studio, you're not really supposed to wear a lot of jingly jangly anything. You're supposed to not wear hard shoes. You know, it's like certain studio rules, right? He walks in with jingle jangles all over the place, hard shoes. We start the song up, and he's very quiet when he walks in the studio. He's very quiet. He says, "How you guys doing? Good." Okay. He said, "Okay, so I'll do my vocal, and then Jan will do her vocal after me." And we're like, "Okay, sounds good, Michael. Okay." Michael walks in the studio. He says, "Okay, go ahead and play it, and let me give it a try." Okay, all calm. The minute the music hits, it turns into Michael Jackson. He's whoa and hollering and spinning and stomping and clapping his hands and snapping his fingers and like giving like the whole show. And Terry and I are like some little girls. We're like, it's Michael Jackson. Like we were like losing it. So he goes from start to finish. He sings the whole song down. When the song ends, Terry and I are just kind of sitting there with our jaw on the floor. And he goes, "How was that?" And we're like, oh, Mike, yeah, that was good. Yeah, that was good. He said, "You want me to do it again?" We said, "Yeah, Mike, yeah, give it another try." "Okay, that sounds good." Janet's sitting between us. She leans over into us and she says, "I'll do my vocal in Minneapolis." She wanted no part of following that. Nobody could follow that. So anyway, he of course kills the vocal, right? So the epilogue of the story is basically, we're done with the vocal, and Janet and Michael goes, "Janet, you're gonna go in and sing now?" And Janet said, "No, Mike." She said, "I'm gonna do my vocal in Minneapolis, my you know, whatever. And he said, "Okay." So we get done with Janet. We go to Minneapolis. We do Janet's vocal. We send it to Michael. Michael goes, he calls us and he goes, "Wow, Janet's vocal sounds really good." And we said, "Yeah, thanks, Mike. Where'd you record that?" We said in Minneapolis. He said, "Oh." He said, "I'm coming to Minneapolis." So he wanted to make sure his vocal was good, you know, but it gave us some insight into his competitiveness, and obviously they have love for each other, but also, you know, a little bit of the sibling rivalry that happens in family. So anyway, it was just the most impactful experience, I think, in the studio that we probably had. I mean, there was many over the years, but that one is the one that always jumps to mind. So.
Wow, that's amazing. And you guys' chemistry is just so connected. Even when you work with other artists, I've been doing a lot of research and reading how you just don't go into the studio and just record. You go out to lunch, or you may just go out and hang out till you get to know the person and so forth, and get a vibe for them that way. The trends and the waves are continue to change when it comes to music, and you guys been around for over 4 decades. And how do you stay connected with the times in the era? Is there a psychological aspect to this whole formulation of things? How does that work for you guys? If it's a secret, don't give it away.
Well, you know, I would first of all say the artists give you a lot of that connection because they are connected to whatever their fan base is. But, you know, one of the things that saves you in any particular situation is having children, because they keep you connected in everything. The things that you don't even want to know about, you have to know about just to see what they're doing. So having children is definitely one of the aspects, I think, that help me stay connected to the things that are important. But it's always wonderful to be able to teach them some things too, not just about what history or historic things are, but what the present things are technology wise and whatever, because we stay up on technology and we're always interfaced in with new things. So Quincy Jones says it best, you know, you're only as old as your ability to accept and process new things. So we just try to stay connected to what's going on.
Okay. Wow.
So with a success record as long as you guys are, do you all feel accomplished? Is there anything else that you all would like to achieve? Is there ever going to be a retirement, or are you just gonna just keep it moving?
I'd say that we have no plans to stop doing what we're doing because we really don't know anything else, how to do anything else. I think if there's an overall goal for us, it's to try to leave music in a better place than we found it. We feel like music has taken us around the world. It's raised our kids. It's allowed us to communicate with people around the world. that we don't speak their language, but we speak the common language of music, which is not common. It is very, I call it the divine art. You know, anything that, if I say to you a date, if I say, 1995, what were you doing in 1995 on, July 10th or whatever? And you could probably piece it together if you were alive at that point and think, well, maybe I was living here, or maybe whatever. If I play you a song from that day, everything comes back to you. So anything that unlocks your mind like that is divine. It's time travel. We talk about time. We wish time travel existed. It does. Music is time travel. Also, on these days of now doing things through Zoom, as we're doing this, the one thing is we could have 20 people on here, and everybody would be different age and different races and different everything. But if we put one of our songs on, everybody at the same time is going to do this. And that's that ultimate connection that music makes for people. So we just feel so blessed and honored and privileged to be able to make music every day and do that. So I think for us, that's what we're going to try to continue to do for as long as we can. And I also feel like where we're at right now in our careers is an interesting piece, is that in making our album, we weren't worried about trying to prove anything to anybody, because we don't feel like we have anything to prove at this point. But we do feel like we still have a lot to say. And so, and as Terry said earlier, it's about giving people a lot of times not what they want, but what they need. And we try to give people the music that they feel they need in their lives. And so we're always going to continue to try to do that to the best of our ability.
Awesome. That's beautiful. And for those upcoming artists and producers who's having challenges and looking to have the longevity and success as you guys, what words of encouragement we share with them in hopes that they'd be successful?
Successful is an interesting word, because successful to me, we tell a lot of the artists that we worked with over the years, as they're walking out the studio, let's say at the end of a project, and we're like, are we really happy with what we've done here? Do you guys feel really good about this project? And 99% of the time they go, yeah, no, this feels great, this feels great. And we always go, remember this feeling, because once the record comes out, if it's a big hit, you're going to probably continue that feeling. If the record doesn't resonate, doesn't work with people, or doesn't get radio play, or doesn't connect for some reason, don't let that change the way you feel about the record right now. Like, that's the way you should always feel. So to us, that's the important thing. I would encourage anybody that making music in itself is a success. Because if you're doing something you love to do, there's nothing like that. Waking up every day with a song idea in your head, or the ability to go, work with somebody or work on music, there's nothing like that. I mean, we can't even imagine our lives if that wasn't our life. And so I think that part of it is important, defining what success is. Like, I don't know. I think, and the other thing is, preparation is a big word in our thing. You have to be prepared. A lot of people will say, I'm waiting for my break, or I'm waiting for someone to give me a chance, or I'm waiting for whatever. We always say, substitute the word waiting and put in the word preparing. I'm preparing for my break. I'm preparing for my chance. Because then when we meet you, let's say we're somewhere and we meet, and so you say, oh man, I wish I knew you would have been here. I would have had my demo tape with me, or I would have whatever. And I'm like, what do you mean you would have? You could have. It's like, no, you should have been prepared for the moment. Like, you had to be prepared. If if you're a singer and we walk up to you and say, oh, you sing something. You can't go, oh, well, I'm not really ready right now, but no. It's like, that's why I say preparation, and even if you're a songwriter, or and you're writing songs for people who you like, think about who this song would be great for. And then not only the artists themselves, but learn who their writers and who their producers and who their collaborators are, who their managers are, who their attorneys are, who their whatever. So that if you happen to be in a room with those people and somebody says, and you go, oh man, that's the attorney for so-and-so. It's like, oh, it is? Oh, I have a song for them. And I know, I bet you there's the producer. Oh, no, there's so much knowledge out there that can be gained. And we have the internet. We didn't have the internet when Terry and I started. So we were reading the backs of liner notes on albums and stuff, and trying to figure out what studio, what our very first record that we had was probably a big hit that people would know was Just Be Good to Me by the SOS Band. We mixed that song at Larrabee Studios in LA. The only reason we knew Larrabee Studios was because we saw it on the back of albums that we liked. Steve Hodge, our engineer that we picked to mix the record, we knew his name because he had mixed all of the Leon Silvers III produced records, the Whispers and Shalimar and Lakeside and all those records that we liked back in the day. That's why we knew that. So our preparation was liner notes, whatever we could find to try to do. And then when we got the break to actually go in the studio and record these people, it's like we know the people we want to mix, where we want to record, where we want to, do our thing. So the preparation part is very important.
Yeah, and never forget that your attitude will dictate your altitude. Don't let your attitude be an anchor, because it will hold you back. While we're all important, we're all somebody's child, somebody's baby, the world doesn't care. This is a blessing to be able to do this. So you have to take it as the blessing that it is and make sure that you are servicing it the correct way. So don't let your attitude get in the way of that.
Wow, thanks for the great advice. Yeah. We just want to thank you guys. I don't know if you noticed, by the way, I had to put all my black shirt out the closet because I'm trying to feel the energy.
I love it. I love
it. All color is good.
I don't have the cap though. I like the cap, so yeah.
All right.
Baby Jam, Terry Lewis, thank you so much.
Thank you. We truly appreciate this.
We really do.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been great. Mm-hmm. Thank you for the interview, guys.
Shy-Town in the house.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Hold your head up high to the sky, so high as the days go by. I promise everything is gonna be